no. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, greetings from Stadium Swim here at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Stadium Swim, the most epic pool in Sin City. 6 separate pools, in fact, 3 levels, private cabanas, day beds, lounge chairs, swim-up bars, bottle service, and as you can see, a 143-foot massive screen showing the biggest sporting events from around the world, which today and this week will be conference tournament action here in Las Vegas, starting with the Mountain West tournament, which kicks off in less than 1 hour with the first game of the tournament, Wyoming and San Jose State. This place is going to be rocking later today and all week, and hopefully on Friday for our Bronco Nation pool party if the Broncos are able to get a win against San Diego State in the opening game. Look at those games. Look at those odds. We bring you a live look right here. We already have tournament action on the TV. My name is BJ Rains, and we welcome you live here to Las Vegas. And again, Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino. So we appreciate all you guys for checking us out. We have wall-to-wall coverage of the Mountain West tournament all week here at Stadium Swim and Circa. Today we're out here by the pool. Tomorrow we're going to be in the sports book. And we got wall-to-wall coverage for Boise State basketball and the Mountain West. We're going to have Geoff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal, does a tremendous job covering the Mountain West. He's going to join us coming up in a few minutes. We're going to have Nathan Carroll pop on as well. But we want your questions, your comments, your thoughts. How you feeling about the Mountain West tournament and Boise State? Again, the first game of the tournament kicks off today. We've got 3 games going on today here in Las Vegas. A quick look at the live odds. Just took this picture down in the sports book. a couple minutes ago. San Jose State and Wyoming, and this game has actually moved to Wyoming -1. Wyoming is now -1 on the updated board behind me. That should be a really, really good game. I like San Jose State to actually win that game. And then you have two double-digit point spreads with Nevada favored by 13 and the home UNLV Running Rebels favored by 12.5, with 3 Mountain West games today in the opening round to kick off the Mountain West Conference Tournament, and then you'll have 4 games tomorrow. Boise State, the only, along with San Diego State, the only teams that have the bye today that already know who they're playing. So the 4-5 matchup is set for 2:30 Pacific time, 3:30 back in Boise tomorrow. Boise State and San Diego State, and I'm not gonna lie. I had the eye emoji sent to a couple buddies, actually Jay and Johnny, in a group text when I saw the. They don't have the line out yet at Circa, but I saw the line at ESPN Bet. They've got Boise State favored by 1.5. Boise State -1.5 was the opening line at ESPN Bet. So sometimes those weird lines tell you all you need to know, and that even more makes me feel good about Boise State's chances tomorrow, because San Diego State has beaten them, let's be honest, fairly handedly in both matchups. I know the one in Boise was a little bit closer, but yes, as Ray says, we know lines mean nothing. Boise State lost the game to Colorado State. I understand that. The line didn't account for 36 points from Nick Clifford, but the Utah State and the New Mexico games where everyone was surprised Boise State was favored, and then Boise State went and won both those games pretty handedly. So all I'm saying is the fact that Boise State is favored in this game. I mean, look at the Gonzaga game last night. Nobody thought Gonzaga should have been favored. I mean, St. Mary's beat them both times. They were 2-0 against them. They were the 1 seed. They're having the much better year. And Gonzaga is 3.5 for the favorite. And then Gonzaga, easily covers the 3.5, wins by 7 or 8 or whatever it was. I was at that game last night. Awesome game. Awesome night over the Orleans Arena, and maybe that's a topic for another day, but I thought the size of the Orleans Arena was the perfect size for a conference tournament. One level, and that place was packed, and that place was rocking. The Thomas and Mack Center is great. I'll be very curious to hear what the Pac-12 is going to do for their conference tournament, but the Thomas and Mack Center is just too big for the Mountain West tournament, so I think that a smaller arena would be awesome for the Pac-12, and we'll have to see what they decide to do in terms of where to have their conference tournament. But I thought last night Orleans Arena was the perfect size for that WCC championship game. That place was rocking, and we'll see what the crowds and things are like over at the Thomas and Mack Center today. I've got the printout here from Circa. Our friends at Circa Sports has given us the printout of the conference tournament odds, and I'll put these on the screen here if you can see them. Maybe we'll see here, but the Mountain West tournament to win odds right there. You can see New Mexico plus 225, Utah State's 425, Colorado State 335, and then right there at 550 is Boise State and San Diego State. Boise State plus 550 to win the Mountain West Conference. That means if you bet $100, you would get $550 profit plus your $100 back on Boise State winning the Mountain West Conference tournament here. So they have they're tied for the fourth best odds, I guess you could say. And as Tyree says, yes, this is a sweet backdrop for a live show. This place just opened minutes ago, so folks are just starting to stream in here, but this place is pretty special, man. If you've never been to Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, this place is unbelievable up here at Stadium Swim. I don't know about you guys, but I used to, want to bet on some games and watch them, but I'd come down here with friends or my wife, and she wanted to go to the pool, and then in the middle of the games are going on, you're out at the pool somewhere, and you can't watch the games. I mean, this place was built with the sports fan in mind. They've got the DJ, they've got the music, they've got the drinks, so if your wife or if someone that doesn't want to watch sports just wants to hang out in the pool and have a good time, you can certainly do that here. But those of you that do want to glance up at the screen, right now they've only got the one big one and some smaller ones across the bottom. But during, NFL season, college football season, later today, once more games start ramping up, they'll have, 10 to 12 games showing out here at one time. It is an unbelievable spot. As I mentioned, 143-foot screen, 6 pools. They got the swim-up bars. And over there, I don't know if you can see it, back on this side, back down there in the corner, they actually have a casino. So they've got blackjack and, outdoor table games right there out here by the pool. So highly recommend Circa. Very appreciative and thankful to all of our friends at Circa, Derek Stevens and all the great folks that are involved. Aaron Oster, the sports marketing director, helping us out. Tyler Mays, the whole crew here, the president at Circa, David Rossborough. They've all become kind of my second family, and just love coming down to Circa. You just get that family feel when you walk in, from the janitor all the way up to the owner and the CEO. I mean, it really is a special place here at Circa. So highly recommend, highly recommend you guys all come check out Circa. If you're staying here at Circa or the D, let me know. If you're staying here at Circa or the D, your first drink's on me at some point this week. So we want to thank everyone that is supporting the sponsors, and I am popping for the first beverage for anyone that is staying down here this week at Circa or the D. Please let me know, and we hope all of you will join us on Friday for the pool party. This is if Boise State wins. If Boise State wins on Thursday, come celebrate Friday with us from 10 to 3. We'll be right here at Cabana 7 here on the top level of Stadium Swim. You can get in for free, even if you're not staying here, just by telling them you're here for the BNN Bronco Nation News Party. You get free entry. BNN is comping your $25 entry into Stadium Swim. So if you're coming down for the conference tournament, you may be staying at another casino. My first question is why? Why are you staying anywhere else than right here at Circa? But if you are staying somewhere else, you can come over here to the pool party and get in for free. That's right. You can get in for free here at Stadium Swim. You just show up, take your Uber over to Circa, go up to Stadium Swim, bring your suit, and you are ready to go. And again, this is Friday from 10 to 3 if Boise State is able to win tomorrow in the first game of the tournament, which, again, maybe this is bad news, but I feel pretty good about – I have a weird feeling Boise State's going to win tomorrow. So, and when I saw the spread come out and Boise State was favored, that only, more changed my opinion on this matchup tomorrow. The status of Magoon Guath, I think I saw somebody say that in the chat. Another person saying, is it because Guath is out? Certainly the status of Magoon Guath is a massive factor in this game. But, I mean, San Diego State's been playing pretty well without him. So let's not kid ourselves here. It's not a guaranteed win. Sometimes when a guy's out, everybody else steps up and kind of rallies around, and they're able to kind of, still play well. So even if Magoon Guath does not play, I'm not ready to just say that's an easy win for Boise State by any means. But when you do see a point spread say, hey, Boise State is all of a sudden favored in this game by 1.5 when they've lost to them twice this year by, one by double digits, one almost by double digits, it does make you wonder. And like I said, I'll just point to that Gonzaga game last night. St. Mary's had won both games. Somehow Gonzaga's favored. Gonzaga easily covers the spread. So we'll see certainly tomorrow. Massive game, massive matchup. I know somebody said on here that Jerry Palm was calling it a elimination game in the quarterfinals here. So I guess he is saying that San Diego State is out in his mind if they lose to Boise State. I don't know if that would for sure be the case. I know they're in some last four ins now, but I still think they have a puncher's chance to still get in this thing if they were to lose. But certainly both these teams know that a win would be massive. I think Boise State needs to win more than San Diego State. There's no doubt about that. We're going to get Geoff Grammer on here in just a second, get his thoughts, the best in the business covering the Mountain West. So we are down here at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas for coverage of the Mountain West Tournament, thanks to some of our great sponsors. Get your comments, your thoughts, your questions in for Geoff. I want to tell you about RoePaint.com, our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs, whether it's concrete coatings for the garage, the back patio, the basement, whether it's your interior, exterior painting, all your painting needs, hit up our title sponsor at RoePaint.com. Taco Bell, perfect time with the conference tournament, a 3:30 game tomorrow. Go get some Taco Bell and settle in for the game. Taco Bell, Treasure Valley, Taco Bell locations, courtesy of SON Management, the Nicolason family. We appreciate Taco Bell for their support of Bronco Nation News, and they are hiring. So if you're looking for a job, you can head on into a Taco Bell location, and there's a paperwork right there in the front. Free food while you work, half your wages the next day after your shift. Great promotional opportunities. Highly, highly recommend Taco Bell. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. They are one of the first big companies to step up and take care of Tyson Degenhart and keep him in Boise. Return the favor, make the switch today. And I've said this numerous times, but I loved my previous bank, had no issues with it, didn't want to change. But once we got ICCU on board as a sponsor, I made the switch, and I didn't realize, I realized pretty quickly what I didn't know I was missing when I wasn't with them. So I highly recommend making the switch to ICCU. It's a tremendous company. There's a branch pretty much on every corner. The easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there on your smartphone. Check out the app, ICCU.com. And our Jackson's deal is in effect for the postseason. If the Broncos score 70 points, you get a $2 hot dog and fountain drink at Jackson's. $2 hot dog and fountain drink at Jackson's. They even throw in a banana when you use your Let's Go Rewards app, and that is on the 70-point margin. Boise State has to score at least 70 points. They surpass 70 anytime. You get the hot dog and fountain drink 2 days later from our friends at Jackson's. Again, live here at Stadium Swim, Circa Resort and Casino. Perfect, beautiful day. Expecting a little rain tomorrow, but today it's great. It's supposed to be Good Friday, hopefully for the pool party. And I know our next guest here has brought his swimming suit, is ready to come over and cannonball into Stadium Swim pool here. We bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Geoff Grammer. Looks like he's got the hotel Wi-Fi going, so we'll see how this works. That's always an adventure. Geoff, welcome to Las Vegas, man. Thanks for joining us on Bronco Nation News. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here. I got the Speedo. I'll be there, and once we're done with this, I'll get over there and I'll be cannonballing with my Speedo.
You know, I figured you had the Speedo, but I didn't want to put you on the spot like that. So that's good to know that my first hunch was correct on that. But you've been over here before, at least for the we did a little media thing last year over at Legacy Club up on the 60th floor, high atop this place. Don't know if you've actually been out here to the pool or not yet, but yeah, we're doing a little thing during the day on Friday if Boise State wins tomorrow. So we'll have to see. But I know the Mountain West is a sponsor, or Circa is a sponsor of the Mountain West as well, and actually, Circa is a big sponsor of that Crown tournament, so I may get another trip down here here in a couple weeks if they come back, if Boise State comes back for that. But Geoff, appreciate you, man. Albuquerque Journal, you do a tremendous job covering the conference. We had fun on the Field of 68 podcast the other day. But I got my printout here from Circa with the Mountain West Conference odds to win the championship here. And no surprise, New Mexico, the favorite at plus 225. Colorado State, becoming almost too trendy of a pick here. They are 335. Utah State, 425. Then you have Boise State, San Diego State at plus 550. Nobody else is better than plus 2,100 after that. But before we get into some of the individual storylines and teams, what's just your big picture take on the conference tournament here, which begins in about 45 minutes?
I get why New Mexico's the odds-on favorite, but if you look at the path and you look at who the matchups would have to be to get there, it really to me looks like it should be even between the 1 seed and the 2 seed right now. Obviously, Utah State's still a good team, but Colorado State and the bottom half of the bracket, Colorado State's path is just easier. That's good news, bad news for the Rams, though. The Rams aren't going to get another opportunity until the championship game to build their resume, right? And I don't know if they were going to get in anyway, but now the only way they get in is winning this tournament, because the only really good beating Utah State on a neutral court is not going to leapfrog them into the field. Beating, maybe 2 teams might sneak them in just because the bubble it's not a super strong bubble this year. There's a finite number of teams fighting for those spots. I think last year there might have been 15 teams last year. This year there's 9, maybe 10 teams fighting for like 4 or 5 spots, right? So I don't think Colorado State sneaks in without getting to the championship game and winning it. And I think, though, that based on momentum in their half of the bracket, I think, though, that they should be probably a favorite. Maybe not a favorite, but maybe even money, because I just don't see UNM, their path, being so much easier, especially in a tournament where the top 5 seeds, if you look at the Ken Pom, you look at the Torvik, you look at all those numbers, they're all bunched up just like they usually are, right? This league usually has a bunch of teams bunched up together in terms of the analytics and all that. So, UNM won the league. They're the 1 seed. They deserve to be the favorite, but I'm a little surprised that Colorado State's not right there with them.
And I would say, Geoff, from I know this is BNN, so call me a homer or whatever, but just in terms of value, I mean, getting plus 550 on Boise State when they're, playing, I know they haven't beaten San Diego State yet. I mentioned some of these lines sometimes, don't matter. Sometimes you notice kind of a weird line and it proves right. I mean, ESPN bet has Boise State favored tomorrow by 1.5. And we'll see what that means for Magoo and Guath. But if Boise State, gets by San Diego State, they already beat New Mexico once. I know they got crushed down in Albuquerque. I mean, that would certainly be a tough game, but they have beaten them. And they've, played well. I know they lost both times to Colorado State, but I don't see a team where it's like Boise State has no chance to beat them. So, I mean, from a value perspective, I think 550 on them, or frankly, San Diego State as well, a team that's dominated this tournament for a long time and has been in the championship game, 10 out of 11 years or something crazy like that. I mean, you mentioned all these teams being bunched up so close. So if that were the case, I would probably, if I was, going to put money down on this tournament, probably take a flyer on San Diego State or Boise State.
Yeah, I'd say that in terms of value, I wish I had the Mountain West Media Guide open right now to see what the seeds are winning this thing. I think the 2 seeds won the most. They've actually won more than the 1 seed, but I don't know below that. But I think that 4-5 game has a lot of value almost every year, especially recently where this league isn't just a 1-2 top heavy kind of league. It's 4-5, right? And if that 1 seed's already in the tournament, you never know. They'll never say it, but if that 1 seed's already comfortably in the tournament, you never know exactly how they're going to approach this week. The 4-5, if both of those teams are playing to get in the NCAA tournament, the team that needs it more in college basketball means something. It absolutely does in my mind. And I would say that 4-5 probably every year has some value, but this year especially, I think, has some value.
You got a lot of fans on here in the chat. It's Grammer time, according to Nathaniel Wilder here. I know folks enjoy hearing from you. This tournament, Geoff, it's going to obviously look a lot different here in a couple of years. I was talking about how last night I went to the WCC game, had the night off, and I went and scalped a ticket and had a couple beers and had a good time. Great game, Gonzaga and St. Mary's there. But I just thought the size of the arena, I mean, I've been in the Orleans arena covering the WAC tournament and stuff before, but just last night I was thinking about it. That seems like the right kind of size for a Mountain West tournament. I mean, the Thomas and Mack Center is great, but the upper level is largely open. I know back in the day, I mean, they'd pack the place for some of those championship games, but lately it's not been greatly attended, and I don't know what they announced as attendance, but I guess it's kind of a moot point just because it's going to change in 2 years. But I will be curious kind of what both these leagues do in terms of sizes of the arena. I know the Pac-12, leaving T-Mobile, and I know there's some money involved, right, with a tourism company, tourism of Vegas, and paying for the hotel rooms if you or not, depending on if you're at like the MGM Grand or something, or the Orleans versus renting out Thomas and Mack Center. But we'll see moving forward what both these leagues decide to do. I like the Thomas and Mack; it's got a nice feel to it. But when I saw that game last night, and it was packed to the brim and it was electric, and I just thought, man, that's where the Mountain West right now. I wish that tournament starting today was over there.
Yeah, the Orleans actually does a pretty good job. For those who haven't been to one of those tournaments, like you said, the WAC tournament doesn't exactly do the same as the WCC. I know when New Mexico State had their kind of decade-long run of getting in that championship game almost every year, New Mexico State fans would certainly show up. But even then, it wasn't overflowing like the Gonzaga crowd has it overflowing when that WCC championship game, and St. Mary's too. St. Mary's does fine. Not quite like the Zags, but the Orleans is a really good setup for a good basketball tournament. And you're right, man. Like the Thomas and Mack, the money makes sense for the Mountain West to stay there because it's going to be a member school, and the Las Vegas Visitor and Convention Bureau, I think
Tourism Bureau or something, yeah.
Tourism Bureau, is giving them big time discounts on hotel rooms for the teams, and because of that, it just makes financial sense for the Mountain West to stay at the Thomas and Mack. But the feel has to be the feel of the arena has to start being considered a little bit, because you don't want it to turn into what a UNLV home game has turned into, which is just not a spectacular home environment anymore.
Yeah. We are live here at Circa Resort and Casino Stadium Swim behind me. If you got a question or a comment for Geoff, he is stretching, getting ready to head on over for the big cannonball and the Speedo, as he said, here at some point. We'll make sure we get that on social media later today or maybe Friday ahead of the Boise State New Mexico matchup. That'd be fun, maybe at the BNN pool party here. But the sun is out. It's a beautiful day right here, and excited to watch some basketball. It's the best thing about Vegas, Geoff. I mean, there was I think it was an A-10 quarterfinal game or something. It started at 8:30 this morning out here. So, I mean, there's games on all day, and this is the place to be here at Stadium Swim. It's just a tremendous spot. But we were doing the Field of 68 show the other day, and they asked us for a team that was playing on the first day who could make a run. I did want to just briefly touch on the 3 games today as this tournament kicks off, Geoff. I like San Jose to win today against Wyoming. I think they've beaten them. Another one of those, maybe I'm tricking myself because it's a weird line, but they won by double digits, I think, in Laramie, and they beat them at San Jose. I mean, San Jose has won both games in the matchup against Wyoming this year, and, I don't know. I feel San Jose with Tim Miles is going to win this game today. It was a pick 'em earlier today. Now it's actually Wyoming -1. That's the one close game, but a really odd line that I don't necessarily understand. I know Wyoming's got Obi Agbum and I like Sundance Wicks and some of their pieces, but I would take San Jose today. That's the only real competitive game we're probably going to get, though. You got two other games where the point spread is 13-plus points. Nevada, against Fresno, and then UNLV against Air Force.
Yeah, so starting with that Wyoming-San Jose State game, the only thing I can think of, two things, I guess I can think of a little bit as to why that line might be what it is, because I'm with you, man. I think San Jose State should be favored by 3, maybe 4 on a neutral court. I don't know what the KenPom numbers are, which is basically essentially the same analytics that used to set a lot of the lines. The formulas are pretty similar. And right now, San Jose State's 169, Wyoming's 185 in KenPom. That's enough for San Jose State certainly to be favored on a neutral court. So there's two things. One is I wonder how many local bettors are moving that line, because Wyoming has an awful lot of people here and San Jose State never has anybody anywhere, right, in terms of fans. So that there could be some movement based on local betting with a lot of Wyoming women's basketball fans here and men's. But the other thing I think might be in play is San Jose State. While I look at their last game when they beat Fresno State, they played 9 players, but they did have some injuries down the stretch, had some guys sit out some games. Again, the maybe Vegas knows something we don't think. Maybe San Jose State's a little shorthanded, but I'm with you, man. That should be San Jose State by 2, maybe 3 points.
And no chance for any upsets with Nevada or UNLV?
I don't think so. I'll make an argument for Fresno State for a couple reasons. One is they actually played pretty well down the stretch. They played some teams pretty close throughout the season, to be honest.
They almost beat Boise State, I thought 2 weeks ago, yeah.
They took Nevada to overtime in January. So this is a team that actually is pretty good. We're in Vegas. You got a team in a gambling investigation. Maybe this is the right city for them. So maybe Fresno State's feeling it a little bit.
Take the unders for Fresno today. Take the unders, I guess.
That said, I don't see it happening. I mean, Nevada, certainly UNLV, even shorthanded. Rishwain's not going to play. Dedan Thomas, I don't think is going to play, but they're kind of being really vague about that.
Yeah.
Either way, I still think they beat. They'll still beat Air Force today anyway. And then the Nevada game, look, as long as you still have Nick Davidson, Kobe Sanders, and Xavier Dussel, it doesn't really matter who the rest of the roster is. I think those 3 guys carry you through a Fresno State win.
The Rishwain injury kind of sucks, because I thought UNLV, was playing really well, and I thought they would have it. I mean, they've obviously already beaten Utah State on that floor. I thought they'd have a turn in the building. I guess not the floor, but
sure.
And so I thought they would have much of a chance. I still think they'll get by Air Force today, but I think that probably puts them in a tougher spot against Utah State, and a lot of people probably would have given them. That was kind of a injury that happened late in the game, and not a lot of people were paying attention to, and that was a big one for UNLV.
It was big time. So what he did against San Diego State when they beat San Diego State the second to last game, it was the Rishwain show. I can't remember if it was 6 or 7, but he hit a bunch of threes, and he can get hot like that. And I'll tell you, for those that weren't paying attention because they weren't in the conversation for those top 5 seeds, really, I guess technically they were till the last week, but they actually played really well without Dedan Thomas. I don't think they're a better team without Dedan Thomas, but they seem to figure some things out, and some players seem to get comfortable without the known alpha on the team, right? Some other guys said, okay, we don't have Dedan Thomas who's going to be scoring 18 points a game for us, so I got to be that guy. And I think a few guys stepped into a role that gave them some confidence that now you insert Dedan back. It could go one of 2 ways. It could be a mess when he comes back, or those guys who kind of gained some confidence and sort of saw that they could be the alpha. Maybe UNLV all of a sudden has 2 or 3 guys that can be that. Now, Rishwain would have been one of those guys. So we'll see. I do think UNLV beats Air Force. I don't think they'll beat Utah State for 2 reasons. One is I just don't think they have the manpower to do it, but also I think Utah State probably hit a little bit of a reset. They certainly stumbled down the stretch. They finished strong against Air Force, but that was Air Force. Let's not read too much into what they did in their final.
I said it on the field of 68. I'm not reading too much into the Boise State and Colorado State losses. Those are 2 places where very few teams won this year. Boise State lost 2 home games all year. I don't know. Colorado State lost 1, 2 maybe themselves. So winning on the road is hard in this conference. And just because they lost 2 games, I know the scores weren't particularly close. I understand it, but I just I'm not overreacting to either of those games.
Yeah,
I still like how to
play. Yeah, they didn't forget how to play. They were a good team all year for a reason. I'll also add this: they're ranked. Well, the other day when we did the podcast earlier, and I looked it up, they were 26 in bench scoring in the country, and the highest in the Mountain West. They do have depth sometimes. And I kind of said this on the other one too. Like sometimes just because you have or you play the depth and you go the deepest into your bench doesn't mean you have the best depth. Some teams just don't play their best players off the bench sometimes.
Yeah.
There are times that I think maybe Utah State uses the bench a little too much. They should stick with the hot hand or two or three a little bit longer sometimes. So I actually think sometimes their bench gets in their way. I know they use it as a feather in the cap, and they should for the most part.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to ride the hot hand a little bit more than they do. I do think that depth, though, in a tournament setting, I'm never going to question depth in a tournament setting. So they have depth. They have a chance.
We have the great Kerry Simons, a big-time Boise State supporter here. The family is here. We're live on the air right now, so they're staying at Circa. We appreciate you guys all. When we're done, if you're still here, I'll chat with you. But always appreciate folks.
Because
What's that?
Are people starting to show up because we teased the Speedo?
Yes. Geoff Grammer, the New Mexico beat writer, said that he would jump in a Speedo into the pool a little bit later, and he's wondering if you were showing up already because he was teasing that. They were saying yes. They're right over there. There they are. We appreciate that. He doesn't want to be on camera, but no, folks are showing up. They got their this is the unofficial kind of Boise State headquarters here at Stadium Swim and at Circa. And a couple more minutes here, and we'll let you go, Geoff. Geoff Grammer, appreciate him for joining us here on Bronco Nation News Live. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the game that San Diego State beat New Mexico a couple weeks ago there in Viejas Arena, Magoon Guath did not play. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And so that was the first game he was out, basically. And he's a difference maker. I will say what San Diego State did that game tremendously well and kind of got back to when they were at their best all year. What they got back to was just not letting you get anything easy inside. They made the game and life miserable for Nelly Jr. Joseph. They prevented the ball from even getting inside. Really, the guards didn't do a good job of getting the ball inside, and that's what San Diego State does well, right? They don't let you get points around the rim. They're good 2-point defense, and Magoon Guath makes them so much better at that. But just by their DNA, they're going to be pretty good at protecting the rim anyway. And New Mexico needs to score at the rim to be good.
So seeing them play without Guath, I guess, what's your take as a beat writer of a different team that's watched Boise State and San Diego State play? And that last game in San Diego State had 10 block shots. I think 6 of them were Magoon Guath. Boise State doesn't have a ton of size on the interior, so I mean it has been a bad matchup when Guath's been in there because Boise State also doesn't shoot the 3-point shot particularly well. And when you can't get it inside the paint, you also can't shoot 43s. So like I said, kind of a weird line. Boise State favored right now, at least tomorrow by 1.5. What's your take on? Because this is by all accounts a game where the winning team keeps their hope alive. The losing team may find themselves on the wrong side of the bubble here when it's all said and done. Just a massive game tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I think again that they're already good at protecting the rim, and Magoon Guath is a cheat code shot blocker. And he was coming on strong late too. He wasn't just doing what he was doing all year. He was kind of coming into his own right before that injury. And he can shoot the three a little bit. His danger is not his offense, but that doesn't mean his offense isn't pretty good. And he can shoot. He can stretch the floor a little bit. I'll say this. I think what I like about both of these teams, again, the matchup is just great in my mind. The 4-5 game to me is the game of the whole tournament because you got some veteran guards. You got Nick Boyd, who's been through. He's in his first year, but so is Cardenas, right? You got a Tyson Dagenhart. You got a DNA at San Diego State that sort of just, even if it's not true, they have in their head that okay, well, we're supposed to be good this time of year. It's March, and belief is a good thing at this time of year. They if call it cocky, call it whatever you want, but they have a confidence come March that's pretty much earned. They've earned it. They've done well. They've been to 16 Mountain West championships, and this is only year 26 of the league. Now they have a losing record in the championship game, but if you're getting to 16 championships, you're doing something right in March. So I really think this is going to be a heck of a matchup. I do think Boise State between Tyson and Alvaro are really those are two guys that are not going to allow a bad game really to happen. I think when you got veterans leading the way, I think those are good signs that you're not going to just get blown out and have a have a mistake prone kind of game. I think that's why this is going to be a heck of a game.
And a lot of the, numbers from the two matchups this season, a lot of numbers from just the history of San Diego State in this tournament being good versus the history of Boise State in this tournament not being good. Just everything you look at it from an outside perspective, you're like, oh, San Diego State should be the clear favorite to win this game. And then you look in Boise State's favor and you just go, okay, so there's something weird about that. And even if Boise State wasn't favored, I thought San Diego State might be a 2.5 point favorite, to be honest. But I said it on the Phil of 68 podcast. It just is something. You know how it is, Jeff. You cover these teams. You get to know the coaches, the players. You get, we're obviously not, with them all the time, but you get to know them enough that you kind of just get a feeling sometimes. And I've just gotten that feeling multiple times this year where when they'd have a bad loss and everybody would give up, they would just have a big response and surprise people with how they played. And I don't know why. I think I feel pretty good about Boise State winning tomorrow. I just don't think Tyson Degenhardt's season and his career, for the bigger picture, is going to end with a quarterfinal loss in the Mountain West tournament. I know it's not a Disney movie. I know you don't get to write a script. You got to play it out on paper. But I've said it all week. It'd be a damn shame, I guess, to be frank, if Tyson Degenhardt's career ended like this in a quarterfinal loss. And maybe I'm getting too caught up in all the destiny, whatever, but I'm not saying they're going to win the tournament, even though it wouldn't surprise me. But I think they're going to somehow, some way get into the NCAA tournament. I'll say that.
Yeah, and frankly, they're a good enough team. They should be in the NCAA tournament. I wish that some of the teams you see on the bubble. Look, I'm preaching to the choir here for people that are watching this, but I really hate looking at the bubble and seeing teams that are 4-11. Or 4-12 in quad one games. I wish there was some sort of component or maybe just more weight given to what you do against your opportunities, right? I don't like the fact that if a team has 15 quad one opportunities because they play in the SEC or they play in the Big Ten, I don't like the fact that four wins makes it look in some people's mind like, oh, they're better than the Mountain West team that only has 2 or 3 quad one wins, when the Mountain West team only had 4 or 5 opportunities. I do think the Mountain West needs to always maximize its opportunities. You need to have a good non-conference. You need to do all that stuff, but don't give teams credit just for playing the game. If you're just playing in conference quad one games, you had nothing to do with that being a quad one game. If you're playing out of conference, you at least scheduled that game. And Georgia, Baylor, Indiana, those are 3 teams that have losing records in the quad one against a lot of quad one losses. Look,
Oklahoma's like what, 3 or 5-13 in their own conference. I mean, forget quad one, just in conference games.
Look, those teams are good teams. I'm not naive enough to think that they're not pretty good teams, but at some point, what you do has to matter. We all agree with that. We're not trying to sneak in Mountain West teams that haven't proven anything. Look, all year long, we've been saying Nevada's a good team. They've been playing a lot of teams close. Well, they're also 0-10 right now against the top 5 seeds in this field. Nobody's arguing that Nevada should be in just because we know they're good, but they lost a lot of close games. At some point, you have to actually win the games, and you actually have to prove it. And I just wish there was a little bit more of that when it came to the NCAA selection committee. You made a good point in the podcast the other day, though. The committee isn't a bunch of blue blood conference kind of guys right now, right? It's there are some new members. There's not going to be some residual effect of the reputation from last year's. It is weird to me that even last year there was such a bad taste in the people's mouths about what the Mountain West did when there were 3 wins, 6 teams got in. Nobody really embarrassed themselves in terms of who they lost to in their seeding, right? It was a lot of underseeded teams that lost. So I just think that the Mountain West getting a little bit of respect sometimes. I think they still should get 4 in this year. There's that slight scenario where the 5 could get in. I think it'll be 3. I think it should be 4, but I think it'll end up being 3.
Yeah, 5 of the 12 committee members are new this year, and then I think it was either Goodman or Rob Doster who pointed out that 7 of the 12 committee members are from non-Power 4 or are associated with non-Power 4 schools or not with Power 4 schools. So over half the committee. So maybe we'll see. Every committee's different. I don't know if they're for sure going to value the same things that last year's committee did, but it's funny. Last year they basically said, you know what, we're not giving the Mountain West any credit for any of their quad wins in conference because we just don't think the quad system's very good. They game the system. We don't think their quads are very good. And then now when teams are, like you said, 1-11 in quad one, it's like, oh, well, they played all these tough games or whatever. We're going to value that because it's North Carolina and it's the ACC, and not when a team like Boise State, whatever, had 9 quad one wins or whatever last year. Yeah,
it's the goalpost move. We get it at this point. We understand that. Some of that's never going to go away, but it doesn't mean it shouldn't go away. It should go away. And you would hope that in that committee, the reason they field it with so many, with the variance of commissioners and ADs from different levels of play, is for this very reason. Sort of like the AP poll, they geographically put it across the country. They want different opinions that have different eyeballs on different things, and maybe stand up for different things. And you would hope that plays true a little bit in the NCAA selection committee. I will say that Bubba Cunningham is the chair, I believe, right, of the NCAA selection committee, and he has ACC ties and North Carolina ties. We'll see how that plays out. It's not supposed to, but you spend a lot of time with a committee all year, and you get to know each other. You start probably pulling for each other a little bit, and I just wonder, sometimes I wonder a little bit how many of these teams get in. Everyone likes when their AD or their commissioner is on the committee, right?
Yeah.
You think, oh, they're gonna go to bat for us. It doesn't always play out that way, but I do wonder how much the ACC is going to get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and that always is an interesting one too, because they sometimes the AD or whatever can't necessarily be in the room when their team's being talked about, but it's also like, well, we don't want to piss this guy off right here if we say they're not in. So it's also like a weird dynamic where even though they can't say anything, it almost helps them more than it hurts them, I guess, at times. If you do, like you said, these committee guys are all sitting together all weekend, and they really like, do we really want to do this to them, if they're not supposed to be in or not?
They need that commissioner's vote for their team in 10 minutes, or something like that. So they know how it goes.
Yeah. Final 2 things quickly, Geoff. The Mountain West Awards came out yesterday. Javen Buchanan, I haven't mentioned it yet, by the way, 6th Man of the Year award. Kudos to him. Congrats. Nice year for Javen Buchanan. Gets the Mountain West 6th Man of the Year award. Richard Pitino, well-deserved Coach of the Year. Donovan Dent, well-deserved Player of the Year. I did vote. I will just say, Geoff, I did vote for Nico Medved, but it was a 50.00001 to 49.999. I really do truly think you could have flipped a coin on that. And if there was ever a year where you could have theoretically had, co-coaches of the year, whatever, I really do think that both of them deserve it. I don't think it's fair to penalize a guy where his team was picked second and they win the league. I think that, that is one of the arguments. Oh, they finished 7th and they got, or they were predicted 7th and they got second for Colorado State, which did play a lot into my factor of, and why I did it. But I also think on the flip side, it's not really fair to penalize a Richard Pitino when his team was picked second. He put the roster together, that was picked second and did what he needed to do with who he lost as well. And they lost a ton as well. And what he did to go get them happy, well-deserved, not one issue at all that he won. I did, and I knew that he was probably going to win, which is why part of it also why I thought Nico Medved at least deserved another vote, and I thought maybe they'd release the voting or whatever, but they didn't. But I thought what Nico did, especially down the stretch, was super impressive. And that last game of the season probably did sway me a little bit, seeing them come into Extra Mile Arena and win that game to get second place. That probably played a little bit into it. But overall, very deserving. I saw Tyson Degenhart, by the way, is the second Mountain West player ever to be a 3-time first-team selection, to the Mountain West first team 3 years in a row, second player ever. Any qualms, just whether it's the first 3 teams, whether it's, I know True Washington I saw got to honorable mention. He could have very easily been a third-team selection at worst. But overall, Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, any thoughts on any of the awards?
So I went with the 2 I covered, and Donovan Dent, Player of the Year, and Richard Pitino, Coach of the Year. And what I've said about those 2 top awards is Nick Clifford had a Player of the Year season, and Nico Medved had a Coach of the Year season. It wasn't as though, and there have been some years where the top player or the Player of the Year winner, or even the Coach of the Year winner, wasn't convincing. I think there were 2 winners, 2 easy candidates for both of them, and even Calhoun kind of fell off a little late, but he would have been in the conversation for coach, certainly deservedly so. I will say I've leaned towards in the past kind of the Nico vote, where the coach that kind of overcame expectations. Sort of, I've leaned that way in the past. Watching a 4-year rebuild from 303 in the net to a second straight NCAA tournament for Pitino probably played into it a little bit in my mind as well. And the pit's full again when it was half empty.
You're a homer, Jeff. We get it. You can do to beat around the bush.
The differences in my ballot, though, that came out, I would say there was one on the all defense team. I put True Washington there. I think when they moved True Washington to the primary ball handler in late December, actually, New Mexico elevated itself to what ended up being, surprisingly in my mind, but ended up being the number one defense in conference play according to KenPom. It wasn't San Diego State. It was actually New Mexico during league play. And it was when they moved True Washington to the primary ball handler. Not long after that was when Boise went to New Mexico and in the pit, and Cardenas had seven turnovers, and True Washington was really the guy who spearheaded that. I think Nelly Jr. Joseph was the best defensive player on the team, but I thought True Washington should have been on all defense. I had him over Mason Falslev. Part of the reason there is because that zone. It's just hard for me sometimes to know. I know he has a lot of steals.
Yeah,
but it's hard sometimes to know when you're playing a zone defense how good a defender you are, because in general, when you go to a zone, for the most part, this is a little bit of a stereotype for zone defenses, but in general, it's because you're trying to overcome some deficiency, right? It's because you're trying to maybe hide one player in your defense. You want to avoid some foul trouble. That, to me, it's just hard to evaluate how good a defender you are when you're in a zone, because it's more of a team concept than man-to-man. So that one, the other one I did have Obi Ogden from Wyoming. I had him on second team. I don't have any issue with him being on third team. What was interesting to me was, and it can't happen, but what was interesting to me was that he got newcomer of the year and was on the third team of the final ballot, while Nick Boyd was on the second team and didn't get newcomer of the year. That means he got more votes for second team, but less votes for newcomer of the year. And again, that can happen because some people that voted him or didn't vote for him for newcomer of the year might not have even had him on third team. So it can work out that way. But I just thought Nick Boyd, if you end up on second team ahead of a guy, probably that guy that you beat shouldn't be the newcomer of the year. So I didn't have any major issues at all. I do think Ethan Taylor, there's some people that were a little mad, thought that was sort of a let's be nice to Air Force kind of vote. I thought Ethan Taylor was a very good player. I didn't have a big problem with him being on third team, but a last place 1-19 team kind of taking a spot, that was a little issue. Last thing I'll say about the awards: if the second place team only has one player on all conference, that you're, sometimes look, I know Lobo fans would be up in arms if they finished second and only had one guy on the team.
Yep.
I think in league play, Kyan Evans, who got honorable mention, I think Kyan Evans was worthy of third team. I put him on third team, but I get it. If you just look at kind of what they did, I get why there wasn't really that second guy that was obvious.
Yeah.
I would sneak him onto third team because of what he did in league play.
Well,
but man, I'd be mad, and Lobo fans would be mad. Everybody would be mad if they finished second and didn't have a second guy on the team.
I couldn't find one. I didn't, but I kept saying you have to. Like, how am I now? How do I only have one? But that also was one of the reasons why I voted for Nico Medved. One, you had one of the top 15 guys in the league, and you're able to finish second place in the league standings. So I mean, again, and it was not. I mean, if New Mexico fans are watching, whatever, like, it was the coin flips of all coin flips. He really could have gone either way. I have zero problem. I think Nico Medved, or both those guys, Nico Medved and Richard Pitino, Richard Pitino deserved it. First place team got it. And Jeff, for all the, debating and flipping, whatever, I figured it out because the coach votes, are worth double our votes. And there's two, and I think our media votes were 1/44 of the overall pot when it comes down to, 25% of the one vote in each market times 11. I think we were, 1 out of 44. So the coaches still heavily impacted this. They usually go with the first place team. They usually do things, pretty standard in terms of play, coach of the year and things like that, player of the year. So it is what it is, but it was nice to
evaluate the media poll part of this again going forward. I wish if we were going to combine it like we did this year, we went back to the joint poll, which it used to be. I do wish that maybe we had held out for just kind of one bargaining chip, which would be just put the vote totals. You don't have to tell me who voted for who. You don't have to tell me which coach voted for this guy or that guy. But I just wish the vote totals would be next to everybody's name for just one added element of transparency. That's what we always did with the media poll.
Yeah.
I want to know if it was close. And And frankly, I want to know if it wasn't adjusted sometimes, right? If it was a race that you're just shocked, oh, I can't believe that person won. I want to make sure there wasn't any funny business, I guess, right?
Yeah, we'll give Boyd second team because we're going to give Agbim the player of the year or whatever. I mean, yeah. I'm not accusing any funny business going on, but when you see stuff like that and there's no transparency in the voting, it does make you wonder.
Sure. And that's one thing that I maybe moving forward, if we continue, we only got one more year of it, right?
Yeah.
In this setup anyway, and if we do continue the joint poll, I would maybe push for at least just vote totals.
All right, Geoff, in 30 seconds or less here, because I kept you really long and I got another guest waiting, but I know you had on the Field of 68 podcast, New Mexico over Colorado State in the championship. Maybe the quarter. Who do you got in the semifinals and who do you got winning this thing real quick?
All right, I got New Mexico, and I think Boise wins. So I got New Mexico and Boise in the semifinals. I'm going to go with New Mexico, but I'm telling you, same as the vote you were talking about, like it's as 50-50 a pick as you can get. I think it's a chalk kind of tournament for the most part, right? I guess Boise's the 5, so technically that wouldn't be chalk if they beat a 4. But I have New Mexico, Colorado State, a 1-2 championship game. I'll stick with New Mexico. And I do think that the fans in the arena, it's gonna be 7,000 or 8,000 fans will play a part in it, and there'll be a whole lot of yellow New Mexico State flags in there.
Geoff, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. I know you're real busy, so we appreciate you jumping on for a few minutes or 30 minutes here and chatting with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you over at the Thomas and Mack here the next couple of days, man.
I'll be there, man. Thanks. See you
Follow
soon.
Geoff Grammer on Twitter, on the Albuquerque Journal website. He does a tremendous job. We appreciate it, Geoff. Geoff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal. We appreciate him for jumping on. Really does a tremendous job covering the Mountain West. So make sure you're following Geoff on social media. He likes to have a little fun on there and get with, have some fun with ribbon fans and stuff, just like I do. So Jeff's my kind of guy here. All right, before we get to Nathan Carroll, we'll keep this thing rolling here. How you guys feeling about the games today? Get your thoughts in, your comments in, any upsets you got today. Where should I be heading to the betting window and placing my money here? Let me know if you got any big picks for me. But do want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game, thespateam.com. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team, whether it's a spa, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a pool table. They got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa. You need some Boise State gear? Well, they got you covered literally at the Blue and Orange store, whether it's jerseys, caps, bumper stickers, car flags, sweatshirts, shorts, dress polos. They got all kinds of stuff at the Blue and Orange store. I know Travis Hawks is coming down here. We'll see him Friday at the party after Boise State wins tomorrow. But the blueandorange.store.com, you can order anywhere online in the world, or just come to the Boise Town Square Mall next to Pro Image there on the second floor. The Blue and Orange store, theblueandorange.store.com. Lithia Ford of Boise has some great deals going on right now. They got to get rid of the 2024 models. So if you are looking for a great deal, they need to clear some room there for the new 2025. So Lithia Ford of Boise, whether it's an F-150, all the great options they have there. Need that four-wheel drive. I didn't think I needed it, and then I bought one and realized how great it was. So four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Lithia Ford Boise. You can go to their location there in Boise on Fairview Avenue, or just check them out online, lithiafordboise.com. And we'll be picking on Matt Bauscher, player of the game, tomorrow. Let us know who your early thought is on your Matt Bauscher player of the game. BauscherRealEstate.com, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason. Rain's family bought and sold our home using Matt and found out just how easy and how much Matt is going to fight for you. Every step of the process, they got us the best value, the best deal, and he'll do the same for you. You can get more information online at BauscherRealEstate.com. All right, a live look here at Stadium Swim, Circa Resort and Casino. I got to see how some of these games are going. I may have already placed a wager or two here on some of these early games just to kind of have a little fun here. We have Davidson and Richmond in a one-point battle here. We've got some other games that are going on, some big bubble games today, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring on our man Nathan Carroll. Does a tremendous job following all this. His Mountain West preview is already up, and you can read his preview on the game tomorrow shortly when I post it after the show here. Nathan, appreciate you for jumping on, man. I guess still no baby yet.
Yeah, still no baby. We're sitting at 41-3. And we're still waiting around, man. What wasn't quite expecting this, second time mom typically goes a little early, but he wanted to hold out and wait until March Madness was fully here, I guess. So yeah, still waiting.
Our man Tyler Crow is watching the show here. BSU a 1.5 point favorite thoughts, wondering why they're favored. Now, this is the beauty of college athletics. Tyler Crow, you can walk right up to the window now and place a bet on your alma mater here. You're done playing, Tyler Crow. You can come down here and I'll have a beer with you. You're done playing. So I'm looking forward to communicating with Tyler about Circa here, and he wants to come on over and hang out. And maybe Friday at the party we can get a Tyler Crow appearance if they win on I mean, Tyler Crow seems like a guy that would love Circa Resort and Casino, and especially Stadium Swim here with the pools and all the great stuff they have going on here. But that was a little bit of an interesting line, Nathan Carroll. We'll see what the Circa line is later today when they come out with the lines for tomorrow. But the ESPN bet was the one where I saw it, and Boise State opening as a 1.5 point favorite in the game tomorrow over San Diego State. Ken Pom has San Diego State favored by 1. Very interesting line. What's your take on the game tomorrow and when you saw that line?
Yeah, the line definitely surprised me. And I would say I think the line is potentially an indicator that Magoon-Guelph may not play. The analytics typically have San Diego State favored by just a bit in that one. So it's certainly at odds with what, Ken Pom and Torvik are telling you in that one. So maybe it's a sign that Magoon-Guelph's not playing, but I was definitely surprised. We talked about it all year. It's a really tough matchup for Boise State, right? San Diego State, they force you to take threes. They defend the 3-point line very well. Boise State, not a particularly great 3-point shooting team this season. So it's a tough matchup. I put in the article that'll be coming out here shortly that if San Diego State plays their best, I really don't think Boise State can beat them. And I think we saw San Diego State at their best the 2 previous times they played Boise. So Boise State, they need to play well, and I think they need to either see a Guelph-less Aztec team or a San Diego State team that isn't shooting 40% from 3, one of the two.
Now, over the years of doing these shows, I have, words that I just can't get out of my repertoire in terms of saying over and over again. Again is one of them. People get on me for saying again, but apparently, is a new one that I've been saying here. So Logan says, how about every time I say, I go put $1 down for BSU to win it all. But there you go. I will try to not say, as much here moving forward here, but Boise State, they had the rough loss, obviously, to Colorado State. But just in general, going into this tournament, what's just your, I personally think Omar Stanley, they're going to keep riding with him in the starting lineup. Leon didn't want to talk about it yesterday, was pretty tight-lipped on the lineup when we talked to him. I think you just ride your senior, you ride your guy with experience at this point. It's not like you're, moving some guy that, is your 9th man that never plays into the starting lineup or something. He's a guy that started half the games this year or whatever, or started last year, almost every game. I mean, he's, when he's right, we've all talked about it, he's one of their best players. And against San Diego State, where you need some physicality and some size on the interior, certainly Ugbo can provide that as well. But I personally feel like Omar Stanley is going to kind of get the keys a little bit tomorrow and be like, all right, man, we got to this point. Let's see, we're going to rely on our veterans here. And I think Omar Stanley is going to get a chance to produce tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Omar Stanley needs to continue to be in the starting lineup. It's something we've been alluding to all year, that Ugbo's role in the starting lineup almost felt like a placeholder for when Omar Stanley got right and started to show some of his best. I think he's been playing better as of late. The foul trouble hasn't gone away. He continues to get 3 or 4 fouls in his limited minutes every game. But I do think that Stanley should be in the starting lineup. And look, the reality is the college basketball season's long, right? It's 30, 31 games, and it becomes a slog. And when you get to conference tournament time, I've talked to former players. It's easy to just compartmentalize, and lock in for 3 days and try to play your best basketball. So I think we could see potentially the best version of Omar Stanley down here in Las Vegas. I think he needs to be in the starting lineup. And look, I think Boise State needs to get more from their bench. Leon Rice talked about it post-game, but only 6 points from the bench against Colorado State. Javen Buchanan did not play very well. Julian Bowie did not play well. RJ Keene had a fine game. He's not much of a scorer. We know that. But they need to get contributions from someone on the bench, whether it's a Bowie, whether it's a Javen Buchanan, whether it's an RJ Keene, 4 steal, 2 block kind of game. One of those just, RJ Keene defines the game without scoring type games. they need something off of the bench if they're going to go down there and be able to win 3 in 3 days.
Somebody's asking if it's cold out here. No, I'm wearing shorts. It's actually very nice. It was cold in the shade. Now the sun's out. Probably going to take this off here shortly, but it is a very, very nice day here at Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino. A couple more minutes with our man Nathan Carroll as we get set for the Mountain West Tournament. What else? Just if Boise State is to make a run here the next couple of days and play their way back in, and we'll get to the bubble talk in a minute, but just for Boise State, tomorrow certainly, but if the next couple of days here, what do you see as aside from the obvious Tyson Degenhart going off, what do you make in terms of just what Boise State needs to do here to go on a run in Las Vegas?
Yeah, Tyson needs to play well. Alvaro Cardenas needs to play well, right? We know that when those two play well, Boise State's been at their best this season. But Boise State needs to shoot well. This has not been a good three-point shooting team this year, particularly against San Diego State. They need to be able to shoot well over these next 3 days. I'm not even saying hitting 40% over the entire tournament, but just get above 33% in each of these 3 games that you could potentially play in. Really, so much of what Boise State does offensively is built around the fact that they can generate open looks, and the way teams defend Boise State is they dare Boise State to take those looks. You got to start hitting them, right? And that's going to come down to guys like Cardenas knocking them down, guys like Meadow or Buchanan being consistent from 3, and then getting a little bit of additional help from a Carmichael or a Bowie or maybe an RJ Keene even, who's starting to pick up his 3-point volume a little more. So Boise State, if they want to win, they got to start shooting better. That really unlocks this offense when they do shoot well. So that's the biggest thing I would say for all 3 games that they need to be able to take care of.
All right, tell us about the bubble picture here. I know you had a couple teams you listed on Twitter in terms of who fans should be rooting for. We got games going on right now. We got Davidson up 1 on Richmond with 8 minutes to go. I know that's not really a bubble game. I'm just looking at games that are live right now. I know the ACC tournament is getting ready to get going. But what are some of the games and teams Boise State fans should be rooting against today?
Yeah, a lot of bubble teams at play today. And the reality is I don't think Boise State controls their destiny when it comes to the bubble. There's a lot of teams who have better opportunities to add marquee wins than Boise State does. So if you're a Boise State fan, yes, Boise State probably is going to have to beat San Diego State and then probably beat New Mexico. And I'm not assuming New Mexico is going to win, but a Wyoming or a San Jose State win doesn't move the needle. You need it to be New Mexico. But then a lot of bubble teams playing. Sent out the tweet last night, but Arkansas plays South Carolina today. That's a loss that could potentially knock them onto the wrong side of the bubble. We've got North Carolina playing Notre Dame. North Carolina is one of those teams that is right on the cut line, and their issue has been a lack of marquee wins, but their hallmark has been a lack of bad losses. A Notre Dame loss would be a really bad loss that would probably just knock North Carolina out of the picture altogether. You've got West Virginia, who's a bubble team. If they lose to Colorado, I think they could fall off into the bubble picture a little bit further. Texas plays Vanderbilt. Texas, another team that's right alongside Boise State on the cut line. A loss to Vanderbilt probably eliminates Texas. And there was a few more, but the other big one is Ohio State against Iowa. Again, another team that's right there on the cut line. If Ohio State loses to Iowa, I don't see how they get into the tournament. So I think those are the big ones that you want to be looking at. The other team Boise State fans want to be on the lookout for is Xavier. But if I remember correctly, I don't believe Xavier plays today. I believe they play tomorrow. But North Carolina, Ohio State, Xavier, those are the more I look at the bracketology picture, those are the 3 teams that I think Boise State needs to lose if they want to have a chance to get back into the bubble picture.
Well, again, your preview will be coming out here shortly as we wrap this up. Don't give everything away from the preview, but just this matchup tomorrow. I know you touched on it in the opening question, but as we wrap it up here with you, just Boise State, obviously both teams playing for the tournament, need this win. We'll find out about Guath, whether he plays or not, but just big picture, this matchup tomorrow, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight competitive game, or at least I hope it'll be a tight competitive game, right? Didn't really get that in the last matchup down in Viejas, but really it comes down to me, Alvaro Cardenas. I think 2 of his worst games of the season were against San Diego State. He was really frustrated by San Diego State's length and athleticism. They really pressed him and pressured him into turnovers. He wasn't quite the playmaker he's been this season. If Alvaro Cardenas plays well, I think Boise State has a shot. If he plays poorly again for a 3rd straight time against the Aztecs, I think it's going to be really tough for Boise State to grab a win.
Well, we appreciate it, Nathan. Thank you so much. When we get packed up here and get back to the room, we'll get the story posted and probably try to check in with you again at some point here this weekend from Las Vegas. Hope the baby comes soon, man. I know it's got to be a tough wait at this point, but early congratulations to you and the fam. And looked like you got to take the fam out to some Big Sky action last night as well. And I enjoyed that Gonzaga game. It's a fun time of year, conference tournament action and a lot going on. And certainly with the Mountain West tournament, I think that game starts here any minute or might have already tipped off for San Jose and Wyoming. So it's going to be a fun, very fun next. Is it at 11 or 10? What time are we at right now? It's 10 o'clock. I guess the game starts at 11. So I got my hours off here on the clock. So do we have another hour for that? I think we do. Maybe we still have one more hour. But either way, excited for conference tournament action. It gets going today. And we'll see what happens in the big game tomorrow afternoon. Nathan, appreciate your time as always, man. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, BJ. Appreciate having me on.
Nathan does a tremendous job for us. You can read his work at BroncoNationNews.com. So we appreciate Nathan Carroll does a tremendous job, and we appreciate him. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, let us know on the matchup tomorrow. We'll keep this thing going. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com, locations across the state of Idaho, including the Treasure Valley, the Magic Valley, up in McCall, surrounding states as well, almost 30 locations in all. Ridley's Family Markets, go to their website, find a location near you at shopridleys.com, and download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line at shopridleys.com. You need a job? How about transportation compliance service? Transcompservice.com is the website. Whether it's DOT, overweight, all the different permits, paperwork, things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time, they can help you do it. Maybe you never thought about the trucking industry, but you should. It's a local company helping folks all over the United States. Get more information at transcompservice.com. Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com is the website, leanfeastmeridian.com. Healthy eating options, whether it's steak, shrimp, chicken, fish, turkey, ground beef, breakfast options, you name it, they got you covered. They're taking care of the football team, the basketball team. They can feed you as well. Lean Feast, check them out online, leanfeastmeridian.com. We want some voicemails. We may have a 3-hour post-game show tomorrow if Boise State wins. We got a lot of cool coverage planned, but speakpipe.com/BNN is the voicemail line. You can leave us a voicemail. We'll play that on an upcoming show. It's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Get more information online at Signature Roofing at mysignatureroofing.com. And whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, they do it all. They're best in the business. We love those folks, and we appreciate our friends at Signature Roofing. Again, online at mysignatureroofing.com. Again, I would say a live look, but this was about an hour ago for the 3 Mountain West games today. 2 games projected with double-digit point spreads, should be blowouts. That other game has moved, by the way. Wyoming is -1. Wyoming -1 is the point spread for that game. Wyoming -1 now is favored, which, again, I like San Jose State in that game, so that's an interesting one to me. But Wyoming and San Jose State getting going here at 11 a.m., so I was off by an hour. I had my hours off on the Mountain West tournament here, but that'll be coming up in about an hour to kick off the Mountain West tournament. And if you are coming down to Las Vegas or already here, when Boise State wins tomorrow, join us on Friday. Circa Resort and Casino Stadium Swim. This place is unbelievable if you haven't seen it, and it is going to be rocking. I'm told every cabana is almost sold out on Friday, and we've got one, Cabana 7, where you can come hang out with us, get a beverage or something to eat, and you can hang out. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to have all the games on Friday and be a perfect way to kill time before Boise State plays in the semifinals. So if Boise State wins tomorrow, make plans to join us on Friday, 10 to 3 at Stadium Swim here at Circa Resort and Casino. And we give you a live look at Stadium Swim. You can see the games are on. The front couple of pools are popping. This pool's not open right now. They open it a little later in the day when they get a little bit bigger crowd. But there's already, I'd say 100, 150 people down there on the bottom floor enjoying the pools down there and the swim-up bars and all the food options as well. So we've got Georgia Tech up by 2 on Virginia. We've got Arkansas and South Carolina 9-9. We got Charlotte and Rice over in the American first round. So we got games starting up. All the games are on the different TVs here, and there is not a better place to be and not a better time of year than the conference tournament in Las Vegas. I've always said this may be the better time to come. If you're a gambler and you want to bet on games and have more, I think the conference tournament week might even be a better week in Las Vegas than the first round of the tournament, just because of all the games going on all day, for the majority of the time. So it's a awesome spot down here, beautiful weather, beautiful day, and we're going to enjoy a little bit of it. A programming note, Boise State is practicing today down here in Las Vegas, and then we'll talk to Javen Buchanan and Alvaro Cardenas, I believe, after practice today. So we'll have some interviews up later this evening. I think we're talking to them at 5 o'clock. So we'll have interviews with Cardenas and Buchanan on the YouTube channel later today. And then Johnny Ballgame will join me tomorrow to get you set for the 4 quarterfinal games, including Boise State and San Diego State in the quarterfinals. So appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for your support of Bronco Nation News. If you can help us out, BNN 50 deal is that promo code. We'd love to have you. $50 for a 1-year subscription. Unlimited access for 1 year. All of Mike Prater's columns, all of my work, all of Nathan Carroll's work, his preview that we're about to post, what the numbers say about this game tomorrow. You want to read that, you got to be a paying subscriber. $50 is all it costs, a one-time fee for BNN. You get a full year, and you help support shows like this that you get to come down here and watch and get our coverage from Las Vegas. We'll have pre- and post-game shows from the Thomas and Mack Center tomorrow. Full coverage throughout the next couple of days, hopefully, as Boise State hopes to make a run here in the conference tournament. And hopefully we'll have coverage of the NCAA tournament with Boise State next week. So all these expenses, I know you folks, some of you, Ray, and all you guys want to joke about me getting a free trip to Las Vegas. That's not the case. There's airfare involved. There's meals. There's certainly other expenses we're paying to bring down our intern, Jaden Finch. He is flying down today as well. So, this is not a free trip by any means, even though our folks at Stadium Swim and Circa do take very good care of us down here. But we could use your support. $50. BNN 50 deal is the promo code if you want to subscribe for a 1-year deal at BroncoNationNews.com. If not, you are watching a free show here on YouTube, so keep that in mind. And when it comes to supporting the sponsors, we've told you about them throughout the show. Our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. All of our great sponsors do a tremendous job to help us keep these shows free of charge on YouTube. So if you're able, this is my daily plea to support the sponsors and tell the sponsors that you're supporting them because of their support of BNN. And that does go a long way. You may not think about it, but if you buy a shirt at the Blue and Orange store or whatever, tell them to please tell the manager that thank you for supporting BNN. And that all does add up. Todd's asking about what's going on this evening, getting into town at 3. Don't really have any plans. I mentioned we need to go at 6 o'clock over to talk to some of the players, but we'll probably be around Circa this evening. No kind of official party tonight, but if anybody's interested in getting together, send me a message on Twitter. Reach out. I'm always down to grab a beverage with anybody that's in town and talk hoops and watch hoops, whether it be out here at Stadium Swim or down there at the sports book. So let me know. Going to be a fun couple days. Hit us up. Make sure you're checking out BNN for all your coverage here, whether it's on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bronco Nation News, whether it's on the website, BroncoNationNews.com, and hopefully you go subscribe. But tell your friends, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go support the sponsors. And again, Tyler says wife bought a Tyson Degenhardt shirt from the Blue and Orange store on Sunday. There you go. Appreciate you, Tyler and wife, for doing that and supporting the sponsors. And yes, we will be live at 10 a.m. the next 2 days. I know we said it would be 9 a.m., is our typical time, but down here in Las Vegas, we're going an hour later due to the time change, due to when Stadium Swim opens, when the sports book gets going. So it's going to be 10 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow and Friday. Just a heads up on the programming note. 10 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, and tomorrow and Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time will be the start time for our morning shows, and then we'll have live pre- and post-game shows as well from the Thomas and Mack Center as we get set for these games tomorrow, 4 games. So appreciate you guys. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. Plenty of coverage to come. Read the website. Check out our social media channels, and we will talk to you guys soon. Boise State, San Diego State, big one coming up tomorrow. We got you covered all day, all night long right here at Bronco Nation News. Live from Circa Resort and Casino and Stadium Swim. Come on down and hang with us. We'll see you Friday for the pool party, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.
If you think I'm pretty, lay your hands on me. No, you can't stop thinking about it. I know that you're shitty and you're bad for me, but I can't stop thinking about it. If you think I'm pretty, lay your hands on me. No, you can't stop thinking about it.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
It's game day. Are you ready?
Let's go!
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RovePaint.com to get that job done right.